Hey everyone, this is Manly Badass Zero and welcome back to Her Story. Previously in Her Story, we found out some very important info that gives us some logic behind certain things like tattoos and different hairstyles. There's a few clips in Eric. I don't know, I'm kind of surprised I never searched up Eric, but most of these I can get access to. So I'll just see what I can get here in the first 5.
He was wearing a shirt, a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans. He has a watch, it's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric. He had his coat, a long grey duffel coat, like Paddington Bear. He would have taken that with him, it's not in the house. Yes, there's a car that we share, a Cavalier, and a van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but we look after it. Both of them are there now, parked on the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look for you when I get back.
The thing that stood out to me, in one of the clips earlier on, she mentions Eve is just a friend, not a twin.
Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so he usually pays with cash, but Eric convinced him to get one.
And she also mentioned being jealous of the other twin, wanting to kind of kill her when they're growing up, and one of them being more popular with girls. And we also know one was able to get pregnant and had miscarriage, and one couldn't get pregnant whatsoever. Speaking of which...
Yes. I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back. Me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
So we have Hannah Smith, who is married to Simon. Simon is dead. Then we have Eve, and I believe she might be single. I could be wrong.
Hannah had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy and it left her infertile. Felt like the universe had corrected its course. We were aligned again. But Hannah and Simon were still living with his parents. They were married. Simon had a job at the Glaziers now. Eric had given him a full-time position after he left school. And then...
She was really jealous about that fact.
Then my parents died.
I think one of the key things, it looks like Hannah always has her hair tied back,
Miscarriage and then...
while Eve usually has it down.
Yeah. They'd gone to bed feeling ill, thinking it was flu or something. The neighbour called me, I had to use my key to let them in. We found them dead in their bed. And they'd been there for days. No one had noticed. Just awful. It was so soon after my miscarriage. The worst year of my life. I'd been so happy to get married, and after that it was just like, fuck. Yeah. I mean, I was infertile. Thought I was. They told me I was infertile after the miscarriage because of complications.
Let me see if I searched up infertile yet. No.
I think it was that time, the first time at the house, in his bed, that I got pregnant. Amazing, right? This fucking magic sperm. And they say lightning doesn't strike twice. I didn't tell him. I missed 3 periods. I had pretty irregular periods anyway, but 3. I had always thought we were infertile. Both of us. I didn't tell him. Just waited. Hannah and I were meeting for our birthday, and I told her because I thought she would be happy for us both. I think she was.
So Eve did get pregnant. I wonder.
From when I woke up. Okay. I woke up. Simon was already up, and he made me birthday breakfast of eggs Benedict. We both had to go to work, so we saved presents till later. I got to work, had some birthday cake, children sang me happy birthday. Then I came home. The birthday meal was a takeaway, and Simon gave me his present, which I didn't mind. And after that, we talked about the baby. It turned into a big argument. Simon left. I was furious. I wanted to get as far away as I could and get some space to think. So I left.
There's a possibility that Eve wanted to take the funnel thing away from Hannah. Might have murdered Simon.
I would have been a good mother. I was young, but I would have been a good mother. She was a girl, by the way, the baby. We were going to call her Sarah. Simon wanted to call her Ava after his nana, but I didn't want to.
Ava and Sarah.
Cool name. Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up. Take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion.
Florence.
Florence raised me in her home. I never left it. She kept me out of sight. It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing. I never knew any different. I grew up looking out of my window and seeing her across the road. I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror. She was me.
So they're raised separately, so one of them did not know the other one was a twin, at least for a period anyway.
Florence was a warm, kind person. But she was broken, I guess. When I found her diary, I also found a biscuit tin with other stuff in it. Older papers, letters, that kind of thing. Her story wasn't there. I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really understand, I guess. I just put it together later, once I was older. She had loved children, planned to have a large family, but her husband died in the war. And that was back when you married for life. She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s. But, I mean, I guess it was different then. You know, You married for life, and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war widow. One of the dead. I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know. No, it was just me and her. Eve was the name they were going to call their first child. They talked about it and were going to try when he came back. Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl. It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember, that I read when I was a child. Maybe I misread, maybe I misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week.
She got named Eve by Florence. I wonder if Adam brings up anything. No.
Black coffee, thanks. No sugar. Sweet enough as it is.
Damn. I hate that line.
A mobile phone? Yeah. Well, they have one for the glaziers, but it's only for work. I can't remember the number. Oh, it's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle.
So we have most of the story in the initial sequence lined up. We've got a little bit of a final piece, but a big gap missing here. This is mostly lined up, and we got a little missing gaps all over this area. Princess Diane. I already spelled that wrong, or it brings up nothing. Here we go.
An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair.
Two videos under childhood.
Childhood sweethearts. Something like that. Are you married, detective? If one of us got hurt, the other one would have to be hurt too. A grazed knee, a bruise. When I lost my tooth first, we had to pull out Hannah's to match. Once, I slept with a boy who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. But she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days. But she snuck a frozen piece up for me from the kitchen. So much of our bodies was synchronized anyway. We started our period on the same day. All our childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits.
Why did they have to keep him so secret, though? Maybe they just didn't want to raise two kids? Secret has a couple clips are new.
I hoover, I dust every week. Maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day. Ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes. When I was there, I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that. When we weren't together, we'd send secret messages by tapping out a code that we'd learned from a book, the knock code. Something prisoners of war would use. We'd tap them out on radiator pipes or the attic floor.
She did the code. She did it earlier, when she had her head down. Wasn't just a random beat. Didn't think so.
Dad thought we had mice, but they couldn't find any. Bought a cat anyway.
Quite a few entries, but
Yeah.
gotta be
We
more
was at
specific
school.
to get the rest.
I worked part-time in the front shop. It was sort of an extended family thing. My dad used to work there, my mum worked there before I was born. I took care of paperwork, filing, typing out invoices, that kind of thing. It was a good job for a girl back then. I didn't work a till or anything, though. I was quite shy, so I wouldn't have liked to have worked a till. No, they were shut. Most of the windows were really hard to open anyway. It's stifling in summer. They were painted over by my dad. Could have left a door open accidentally. Or there's a cat flap in the back door. They said it was food poisoning. There was something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms, grow them too. They said it was the mushrooms. It was hard to believe. Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that. But, I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone. And no one had any reason to hurt them.
As far as we know.
I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time. I was depressed, was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead.
So you're getting parallel to this story. Let's see what
They were
happens
in
here.
bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I slept through it. The police said it was the mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. I mean, he used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognise them. And there's no way you would have picked death caps. But the police believe that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic.
There's some really disturbing implications going on here with this, and I want to look into it more.
At the time they said it was poison, food poisoning. I mean, I felt so guilty. If I'd still been at home, maybe I could have done something. I didn't. I got a job to contribute, you know. Doug knew someone and I got a job as a dinner lady at the primary school. They said it didn't matter if I could cook or not, just don't poison the kids. So you see, it's always been complicated between me and Simon. It's never just been the two of us. There's always been pressure.
Pressure. Let's find out more about Doug.
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them. Yeah. 1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful. Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. The forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful.
Eleanor. This one.
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. It's more just...
Coffee.
Yes. I got to Glasgow, I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back. About 8 years back. It was a present to myself. I shouldn't even be drinking coffee with the baby. It's been hard trying to give it up. I think they say you can have 1 cup.
If the tattoo's that old, that means that's definitely Eve, because Eve always seems to wear the long sleeve. While Hannah seems to wear more short sleeve items, and has her hair tied up back.
No. I've had enough coffee for today, thanks. Glass of water. Coffee, I guess. Milk and sugar. Yes. The first time we saw each other, it was strange. We both realised at the same moment, I think. We must have seen each other before, but there was this instant when we first realised it wasn't a reflection. The reflection was staring back. I think I was 5. It was my birthday. My reflection was wearing a party hat and waving. I knew what party hats were from books. And it suddenly occurred to me, today must be my birthday. I waved back and we just spent ages waving at each other and copying each other's movements.
So they met at age 5. So you can find anything more about this birthday.
Yes, that's my birthday. Not one of the big ones, but I guess you can see that. It was my birthday, like you said. We were going to have a meal at home. We had our meal. He gave me his present. I guess I didn't like the present. No. Well, yes. He found out on my birthday. I told him I was pregnant. I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married. Yes, I'm fine. I won't be sick again. This happens some days. I'm pregnant. It's morning sickness.
So Hannah miscarried. Eve didn't. Eve actually had a kid. What did she name the kid?
When I arrived in Glasgow, I was exhausted. The streets were empty. I was driving badly. And I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have a driving licence on me. But when I told him I was pregnant, he made sure I got to the hospital so they could check me out. It was fine. The hospital must have details when I was looked at. There's a scratch on the car.
Switch up on the car. Find out more about that.
I wasn't in the house all of Friday night. After the argument, after Simon left, I left too. I was upset and I wanted to get away. So I took the car. I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep. Yeah, I pulled over and slept in the car. This was just by the side of the road. I was exhausted.
I need to find more about this car thing. Accident. Get more details on that.
When I was 8, Mother died. She slipped down the stairs. It was an accident. I had read a diary at that point and I knew she wasn't my real mother. So I burned the diary that day and I left. Walked out and across the street. No,
Curious how both their
he doesn't
parents
die.
died.
That's my thing. I've kept one, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a girl. Helps make sense of my day. And when you're forced to put something into words, it just gives you perspective. Everyone's on the same page. It just became our way of life. We would swap places and take it in turns to do things. And we were very careful. Whoever had been out that day would come back and write a detailed diary so that we were on the same page. We had a list of rules that said what we could and couldn't do in any given situation. It was exhaustive. We lived a second life through those rules. Rules for things that could only ever happen inside our imaginations. We would consider all the permutations of future events and agree rules to walk our way through them.
Something really odd happened in this family dynamic, and I'm trying to pin it down. Rules. Rules.
Okay. She's being chased. They're trying to catch her because she did something bad. I guess she broke the rules. Or maybe they think she did something bad. Maybe it wasn't her fault. She looks scared, not guilty. Maybe it was mistaken identity.
Really?
Did they catch
Go
her?
on.
I don't know. Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous, didn't want to share. Even the first date, we went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went, kept changing places in the toilet. We only had the one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes. Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems. The next date, it was my turn. At the end, I let him kiss me, but that was it. We didn't want another Carl on our hands, and the Ouija board had said
Carl.
to hold back. After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant. From that one time.
This is going to be really odd. So they really had some... trying to be like a really twinsy dynamic thing going on. Rules, matching, possibly self-imposed, I guess.
It lasted about 6 months. I tried to carry on, but everything was different. Hannah insisted I not pretend to be her around Simon, let alone sleep with him. We didn't share him like the others. The rules had changed. Me living in the attic had become weird in a way it hadn't been before.
Carl. This is gonna give me a lot of dirt.
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl. He was a local boy in a band. He was a bit of a shit. But he was sexy. We were 15. No, I was 15. Carl was older. 17, I think. I was really into him, regardless of how he actually behaved. Lots of drunken teenage sex. We did it in a church once. It was stupid. So he got tired of us and we split up after about 6 months. It was sad, but those early experiences, they help you realise who's really important to you, you know? Family.
Really?
Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there, and then Simon. Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything. She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first. She had such a crush. I let him take my virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity. It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze. We used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
Oh boy. That's, awfully heavy. I need to find out more about these rules. meeting. First.
No, he was as shy as me. I asked a friend to ask him out for me. We had our first date at the Odeon in North End. We went
She
to
didn't
see
talk
the
about
business.
Eve yet.
I had on my one best dress. Simon paid. He bought me a whisper, and I was worried about getting chocolate on my teeth.
She only mentioned it as a friend asking out.
I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to Come Back and Stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we... No, we really can't. Here's some good meat. At least 4 clips here. Still haven't hit 50% of the clips yet. So there's a lot more left of this game. Well, video.
Really? You're going to ask me about my sex life? I mean, isn't that private?
No.
Are you married? How is your sex life? So, our sex life is probably fairly average for a couple after 10 years of marriage. No! You're talking to the wrong person if you think I'm some kind of slut. If you think I'm the kind of person that would have had sex with all those guys.
You know that's Eve.
No. I think he spoke to Helen. She said he was upset about her argument, but I'm not sure what else he said. He likes Helen. He likes blondes.
Check out Helen. Oh, okay.
He's married couple stuff. A stupid argument, nothing specific. No one knows how to push your buttons better than those you're close to.
A lot of entries in this one.
Like I said, I think I was popping out to get something, ran out of something, had to grab something. I sometimes drive too fast. If you want, you can arrest me for that.
We know Eve is an awful driver and seems to get in accidents a lot.
For fuck's sake. Can I leave? Are you going to arrest me? No. They'd laugh you out of the building. A lawyer would make mincemeat of you. This is a nicer room. Is this where you take people when it's time to arrest them? Yes. No lawyer. What are you going to arrest me for? Can you arrest someone who doesn't exist?
Yeah. Eve technically is not on file. Hannah is. No ID or anything, they share it. Lie detector test.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yes.
These are totally useful. I'm learning everything I need to know from these.
Yes. No.
It's just like one of those learn English videos now. No. Yes. I am Pin.
No.
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 No.